Good evening. Thank you for joining us on New London Republicans, the party that's looking out for you. Tonight's show is hosted by me, Bill Vogel, and we'll be covering a number of different items. How do you like our entree into spring? It looks like March came in like a lion, and at this point, March looks like it may be going out as a lion. And here we're talking about snow on Friday night. So boy, I'll tell you, it's like the winter that'll never end. But it will. Let's hope so anyway. I would hope to think that we'll be walking into April with snow still on the ground, but who knows? But anyway, I just wanted to get into to items. One of the things that everybody knows now that Benjamin Netanyahu won re-election in Israel, and that was done after President Obama had sent some of his campaign people over to Israel to try to campaign against Netanyahu. I guess he doesn't like Netanyahu because Netanyahu thinks that his negotiations with Iran are a cop-out, and of course most everybody in Congress thinks that his negotiations with Iran look like they're going to be a cop-out, and all our allies in the Arab world think our negotiations are a cop-out. So it's one of those things where you got to wonder, if everybody thinks you're making a mistake, why don't you just at least listen and maybe you'd find out something? It's really kind of amazing. It's especially amazing that he would go and try to undermine, try to interfere with the election in a foreign country. I mean, we don't usually do that, at least not overtly like he did this time. So I don't know, but it looks like in the case of the Iran negotiations, it looks like the Obama administration, that would include Kerry and then Valerie Jarrett, who happens to be born in Iran and happens to speak Farsi, and who's his principal advisor. It would look like we're doing almost everything. It looked like the Obama administration is trying to do just about everything it can to kiss Iran's backside. I mean, it's unbelievable. I personally believe the reason he didn't leave any troops back in Iraq as a contingency force or training force is because he had some kind of a deal with Iran. Iran doesn't like to have a strong U.S. presence in Iraq, which borders Iran, or Afghanistan, which borders Iran. So I really think that that Obama caved into Iran and did not leave any troops in Iraq for that reason. And of course, as a result, you have a big vacuum. You have the ISIS people come in from Syria, which were actually the Al-Qaeda of Iraq that had been defeated. So it really it's just unbelievable that he would go to, that he or President Obama would go to such an extent to satisfy Iran. I mean, that's probably why he said he was going to pull everybody out of, all our forces out of Afghanistan. Now he's backing off on that because things turned out so badly in Iraq. And then, of course, in Iraq, you have, once the power vacuum's there, ISIS comes in. Now, guess who's fighting on the ground? Not U.S. soldiers. Iranian people. And so what some people might say, oh, that's good. Well, it's not good. And the reason it's not good is because Iran is basically taking over the whole, taking over everything from Tehran to Baghdad to Syria, and then even on to Yemen. So it's this is not what the United States ever had in mind when we tried to settle things in the Middle East. And it's just incredible. I mean, when Obama came into power, basically things were settled. Iraq was stable. Afghanistan was pretty much stable. And within the 6-7 years that he's been president, everything in the Middle East, including Iraq and Afghanistan, have gotten worse, much worse in the case of most of these countries. So it seems like it all goes back to this overwhelming desire to, like I say, kiss the backside of the Iranians. And why he wants to do that so badly is a mystery to me, because I don't see where he gains anything by doing it. Why is it better to have Iran as an ally than it would be to have Saudi Arabia as an ally? Hello, caller. You're on New London Republicans. Hello, caller.
Hi, Bill.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Are you from New London?
Am I what?
New London.
Yes.
What do you think about the snow we had?
It's bad, and it's only gonna. I guess we get some more of it on Friday. They're talking about
On Friday?
Yeah, they're talking about getting 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inches on Friday night. So,
Bill, what I was going to say, when I go to church tonight, you know what I'm going to do?
what?
I'm going to say a prayer for you and your wife.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm going tonight, church tonight,
Excellent.
I just want to call to let you know, and I don't mind saying a prayer for you and your wife,
Oh, well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
This is Ray.
Okay, Ray. Well, very good. I thought it might be you.
I know. But tonight I'll say a prayer for you and your wife.
Okay, well, thank you, Ray.
Good night.
Good night. Okay. That's nice of Ray to make a wish like that for us, so that's good. But anyway, just talking about, I guess we can wrap up the Obama thing. It's not local. It's what you hear in the news all over the place. But the funny part about it is that the U.S. media even was going against Netanyahu, CBS, NBC News, and why would they go against that guy? Here he had the courage to come forward and speak to a joint session of Congress, tell the United States that, hey, you're heading in the wrong direction with Iran. Your treaty to prevent nuclear weapons with Iran is actually doing the opposite. It's going to help them get nuclear weapons, which is like mind-boggling. But the reason he says that is because they put in the negotiations with Iran, they were putting a sunset clause in there that all these constraints on Iran would go away in, let's say, a decade, and so then they'd be free and easy to go ahead and pursue, their nuclear weapons program. In the meantime, they're pursuing their ICBM, their intercontinental ballistic missiles. Why would they be doing that if they weren't pursuing nuclear weapons? Because ICBMs are no good without nuclear weapons. So again, it just keeps on. It keeps on going. So anyhow, jumping into our agenda, one of the things that I keep coming up with is, why is there anybody that's going to really look out for the taxpayers of New London? I'm really disappointed with the Board of Education, coming in with basically they're going to increase their budget by 7%, and it's going to increase the taxpayers of New London's contribution to their budget by 6%, because they also have bond, they also have money that comes from grants and things like that. So, but anyway, we're still stuck with we the taxpayers in New London are stuck with a 6% education budget increase, and that's about half the budget. So that means 3%, just 3% increase in taxes just to start with. And then, of course, you have the mayor is going to be coming in with his budget on April 1st, just a couple weeks. And I haven't heard anything that said that he's going to be restraining himself. One would think he would, since he's up for re-election and he wants to get nominated by the Democrats and win an election. But boy, I'll tell you, with the kind of situation that we're facing, we had almost a 10% increase this last fiscal year, and now we're talking about at least a 3% increase with the education budget, and God knows what the mayor will come in with. It wouldn't surprise me to see him come in with a 3 to 5% increase, so the overall budget would probably go up, probably about 3 to 5%, depending on what he comes in with. So, and that's on top of all the tax increases he's had so far. So, again, it comes back to the question of who's looking out for the taxpayers in New London. I mean, it's the Board of Education went ahead and increased their budget, I would say in a cavalier manner. I mean, they came up with the reasons that, well, one, we have a 1% increase in teacher's salary. Okay, that one I can understand. Number two, they have an 8% increase in the health care insurance. Now that one I don't understand. Who negotiated that? That's obviously something that was negotiated with the teacher's contract, it's hard to say. How in the heck if Obamacare and all this government help with health care was supposed to decrease the cost of medical care, or at least keep it from growing so fast? An 8% increase in health benefits is huge. I mean, that's astronomical, but that's not really, that because it's not a big part of the budget, it's not going to be, it's not a big contributor, but it's still, when it's 8%, it's going to be a reasonably big contributor. And then you have, on top of that, you have more students coming in, and it's 300 plus some students, but about half of them are magnet school students, so you would think that the fact that the state gives us $3,000 per student, and the town from which they came, the district from which they come, pays us a tuition to cover their costs. So you would think that would be a net positive gain for either a net positive gain or at least a wash, even Steven. So it's really hard to see how they can come up with their 6% increase. Well, actually, for the Board of Ed, it's a 7% increase total. I mean, that's really a big increase. Now, last year, they only had about a less than a 2% increase. Why could they get by with a 2% increase last year, and they need a 7% increase this year? It just doesn't really, it doesn't make sense. And the explanations for it, like I just went through, those three reasons, really don't wash very well. 1% I can see for the teacher's salary, okay, that one's okay. But then how they get an 8% increase in health care benefits, and how they say that bringing in more students, half of whom are magnet school students, why is that costing the city of New London more money? Aren't the magnet schools supposed to save us money? The whole idea is that we'll go into the magnet school situation because, one, originally it was going to save us money, and then number two, it was going to make our schools better. And it's a real question in my mind how this is all going to work out, especially if we start seeing poor old New London having to pay more for the services that we're providing. So anyway, again, it's who's looking out for the taxpayer of New London. Let's hope that the mayor comes in with a budget that's mirrors inflation, which should be about 2% or less, and hopefully we don't have to go through the whole process of doing petitions and referendums and that kind of thing. Then we have to worry about how the mayor is going to handle referendums, and then you get into the charter, and it just gets into be a really big mess. So I'm really hoping that I'm hoping, but I'm not optimistic that the mayor is going to come in with a reasonable budget. But we'll see. The credit rating of New London is apparently held the same, and of course everybody's the Day has an editorial that says, "Oh, congratulations to the taxpayers of New London for voting themselves a 10% tax increase last year." Most people had no idea they were voting for a tax increase because the way the ballots, the questions were written on the ballot, it was impossible to tell what was going on. Plus, the mayor put it off till November, so nobody really, it got into the confusion land, and people really didn't know what was going on. And you can maintain a credit rating. There's two ways to maintain a credit rating. One is to spend less, and the other is to increase your revenues and keep your spending, the same or goes up the same percentage as your revenue. So in our case, what we see is the mayor keeps raising taxes, so he's increasing revenue. But I haven't seen any place where he's decreasing expenses. All he does is he keeps increasing the budget and increases the taxes to correspond. So, to me, how do you say congratulations when the taxpayers in New London under the Finenzio regime probably will be lucky if we aren't paying 20% more in taxes than we were 4 years ago. I mean, I'm hoping that what we see this time will be reasonable, but when you talk 5 and 10% tax increase every year, it adds up very quickly. And is it really reasonable for people to be paying 20% more taxes since we've had Mayor Finenzio in office? It really, and what you see happening is because of the tax situation and we'll get into the school situation, you end up seeing more and more houses on the market in New London. And one of the things you'll see, perhaps you saw one of the statistics, is that New London has over 30% of its home mortgages are underwater. And what that means is that the value of the house has decreased since the buyer bought it to where it's less of he owes more on his mortgage than the house is now worth. Originally, the bank would have, let's say, they would have done an appraisal and they would have, lent the money for a mortgage based on, okay, this mortgage is, if we have to take this house back, we can sell it and cover the mortgage that this person took out on it. But now you got 30% of the houses that are, like I say, are underwater. They're worth less than the mortgage that's owed on them. And so, that's a sign that you don't have a healthy market. I mean, that's it's a sick market. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, the taxes are very high in New London, and then you have other things that aren't coming together the way they should. Whether it's snow removal or, the snow removal is okay, except for this, we had the big talk about the sidewalks. Well, the way we handled the sidewalks is we didn't, It's just, the city didn't handle them and a lot of homeowners didn't handle it. And, in days gone by, homeowners would have got tickets, and the city couldn't be giving out tickets if it didn't do its own sidewalks. This year, neither happened. So we got to see what's going on there. And of course, there's some, David Collins has an article about that where he pokes fun at the two mayor candidates that we have that are announced right now. But no, then of course in Connecticut you have the governor wants to raise taxes on the businesses, and so what that means is more businesses go away from Connecticut, more jobs go away from Connecticut, and you're stuck with more economic problems. So I don't know. It would be really, really good if New London could get off of its tax and spend approach. If we could get the school system so that it had enough discipline. It really just boggles my mind how, like, under Adam Askey last year, we increased who was the special moderator. Let's see, I forget what they called him. But anyway, he was the super duper superintendent. And he came in with a 2% tax increase for the Board of Ed, 2% budget increase for the Board of Ed. And now we're looking at 7%. What the heck happened? I don't know. But anyway, New London really, really needs to get its act together in terms of taxes and schools in order to maintain property owner values and have people be really willing to buy houses that are for sale in New London. So let's see if we can't make that happen. Let's see if we can't get some good candidates to run for city council, and let's see if we can't get some of the really good Republicans elected this next November. Okay, let's see on this credit rating thing. I think a lot of it spins around the idea of getting the rainy day fund increased. And normally what happens is your rainy day fund, when you have a budget surplus at the end of the year, which you should always have a budget surplus at the end of the year, because you should have a few dollars left that you haven't spent that was budgeted, and that goes into the rainy day fund or the reserve fund, and would build up, and you'd be judicious in how you use that. New London's fund is I think it's right now. Well, I guess it says Jeff Smith, the finance director, estimates that the fund balance will reach only $2.5 million when the fiscal year ends June 30th. I don't know if that may include a $1.1 million bonding that the mayor got passed on the last referendum, which was another thing, another question on the ballot that nobody could understand, when in fact it was. I'm not even going to go into it. It was so ridiculous. But so it looks like the fund balance. And then I guess the budget is going to have something like $250,000, and that'll go into the reserve fund, and so we'll see how that all goes. It goes on to say, New London will continue to have its struggles. While city unemployment dropped in 2014 to 7.7% from 9.3% in 2013, it remains substantially higher than the state and federal unemployment rate. Median household income is 65% of the state level, noted Fitch, that's the credit rating service, and the poverty rate is 25% relative to a national rate of 15%. Then it goes on to say, nevertheless, with plans for the National Coast Guard Museum on the waterfront that will lead to a downtown district renewal, an exciting plan to reform schools, and improve fiscal stability, there is reason for optimism that a corner may soon be turned. It just bewilders me that they go through and say all these things when, first of all, the Coast Guard Museum, I think it's going to be really nice. I'm glad it's going to be downtown. But anybody that thinks that putting a museum downtown is going to change the whole outlook of downtown, I think is being a little naive. I hope it does, but I certainly can't. It doesn't correlate, directly that, gee, we put a museum downtown and all of a sudden, there'll be hundreds of people down there. We'll be darn lucky if that kind of a situation develops. I don't know of any other museum, except maybe the Smithsonian in Washington, which this isn't going to be anything like, where that kind of thing happens. And then they go on to say that an exciting plan to reform schools. Well, the plan to reform schools is, the magnet school idea, and so far, if it's going to cost us more than we get paid back for doing magnet schools, it's going to really come to a point very quickly where, are we going to be able to afford that? And then the other thing you got to think about is how many people are really going to, let's say from East Lyme, how many kids are really going to send their kid from East Lyme to Nathan Hale, grammar school here in New London? That's the kind of thing that we're expecting to happen with the magnet school plan, but it's really a question in my mind as to whether you're going to get the numbers of kids coming in to particularly the grammar schools and then the middle schools. You might see some motion in the high schools. I suspect you might see a fairly good turnout for the high school, the arts at the Guard Theater, magnet school type situation. I think that might be good. The STEM thing, it remains to be seen. That's, I think, called a success right now. I'm not sure that it'll be any more successful in the future than it is right now. So it may have peaked. We'll see. And then the other magnet schools, I'm not sure why anybody would bring their kid in for, public service, I guess is the other route. And why would you send your kid from, let's say, East Lyme to one of our grammar schools for that? I don't know. But anyhow, so hopefully some of this works. And then they say the improved fiscal stability. Well, we really don't have improved fiscal stability. We have a better credit rating, but as a result of very large tax increases that are driving people out of New London. And so basically you have more and more empty houses, just like you have more and more empty stores. I mean, that is not going to be positive. So let's hope we can get past that. And I think the real answer to that is we got to get a new mayor this November, and a mayor that's going to look out for the taxpayers. We got to get a city council that has a group of people on it that really care about the taxpayers and are not going to be just, going along to get along with the mayor, which, 4 of our councilors now, 3 or 4, you just are going to go lockstep with the mayor, and with all these, they don't care if they raise the taxes. I mean, it's just, how anybody can think that's a good thing, it beats the heck out of me, but that's what happens. So anyway, let's hope for a real refreshing election come November. Are you going to run? If you want to run, you need to talk to your Democrat town committee or your Republican town committee and let people know you're interested in running for Board of Education or City Council. And, it's one of those things where, you can dive in and make a difference. And, even if you don't win the first time around, maybe you'll win the second time around. And it's a lot of work, but I think if you talk to any of the people that have served on the City Council or Board of Ed, they'll tell you that they really they enjoy the experience, or they did enjoy the experience when they did it. And so it's something that if you're willing to listen to this program, you ought to be willing to think about whether you're going to run for public office, at least at some point. Okay. One of the things that was kind of interesting was the STEM school, our STEM high school award that we got. And I thought, oh, gee, that's a big plus. And then I looked at what the award is based on, and I thought it would be like academic excellence, as the primary thing. It says the leading National Magnet School Association has named the Science and Technology Magnet High School of Southeastern Connecticut a magnet school of excellence, putting it in the company of just 73 other programs across the country. But then it says to be considered for the award, the magnet schools had to submit a detailed application to be scored by a panel of educators based on the school's ability to raise academic achievement, promote racial and socioeconomic diversity, provide integrated curricula, and create community partnerships according to the organization. Well, if academics is only one aspect of it, and maybe not even the principal one, what the heck does that award mean? I mean, if it's a STEM high school, it's supposed to be science and technology. I mean, you'd really want it to be coming down. You'd like to say, well, how these kids they're graduating from this STEM school, they're going to MIT, they're going to Bucknell, they're going to Virginia Tech, they're going to UConn, and going into engineering or science. That's the kind of award I'd like to see. This business about, whether or not it provides integrated curricula and creates community partnership, I think that's just hockey. I mean, good grief. But anyway, so maybe it's just the way they said it here. Maybe it actually is better than it sounds there. We've talked a lot about the potholes in the past, but this is the season to get the potholes. So let's hope our Public Works Department can jump on that one. I know that the department head Tim Hanser says that he's going to go after it as soon as the weather clears, if it ever does. So, but boy, do we have some nasty potholes. And I would sort of suggest to Tim Hanser that some of the ones that are really bad, especially on the main roads, and you know where they're at because you've hit them today, They ought to be out. They ought to be doing something about those like right now. I mean, you just can't have holes that are breaking axles in cars. So let's hope they go after those. But certainly, once the weather gets better, if that ever happens, let's hope they go after that with full speed ahead. But boy, the pothole situation is really bad. And the other thing that I keep thinking that we're gonna see happen is I keep thinking that we're gonna see something happen with our chief of police, Chief Ackley. I'm really, really disappointed that that the city council and the mayor have allowed that situation to go on now for 6 months. Now, even if the mayor is, into letting that happen, I mean, he's made some token efforts the efforts. I mean, the way the mayor's handled it has been so bad that it's just, and it keeps getting worse. But let's hope that common sense comes to bear. Let's hope the city council takes charge and demands that action be taken and fast to get Chief Ackley off the payroll. There's no reason why the taxpayers in New London are paying Chief Ackley's salary while she doesn't even come into work for 6 months. She's on vacation, a paid vacation for 6 months. Is not what and her salary is like $108,000. It's not, it's not a small salary, and the poor taxpayers are getting creamed, and the police department's lacking a chief. They got the assistant chief there, and by all accounts, he's doing good, but that's not the way it should be. And then, of course, we're so short on officers. We really need a new chief of police to come in there and start building up the police officers, getting us back to at least 80. They had 3 in school. I mean, it's just been little tiddlywinks. I mean, so we got 3 in there now. Why don't we have 6? Why don't we have 9? Why don't we have 10? And then, of course, one of the guys fails out somehow. So I'm not sure what caused that to happen, but so you are going to have some attrition as you go through the police academy. So you really do need to start staffing up and putting people in. They said they're maybe put 4 in the next class this April, which is next month. Let's hope they do that. But I really think that you really need to get some people in that police academy if you're going to ever get to 80. And if this was a normal company, what would happen is, if they need to staff up, they do. It's not one of these things that, the police department in New London has been funded at a much higher level funded for a higher level of manning than we've actually had. So where are those funds going? Well, that extra money ought to be really rolling into the police academy or to the recruits to get them through the police academy and get our staffing levels up. Okay, I'm going to make another pitch here. The mayor pay will not change during the term of the mayor. It can only change, before the mayor takes office. So what it really amounts to is the city council that's sitting right now, if they're going to change the mayor's pay, they need to do it. They need to do it way before the next election, before November. And so I'm continue to push to get the mayor's pay moved up so that it becomes a more attractive position. There's no reason the mayor's pay should be 30%, 40% less than other people's salaries. Look what the superintendent of schools is getting. Look what principals are getting. Look what the police chief's getting. Look at all these people that work for the city, and the mayor makes less than any of the ones that have that are a department head or anything like that. It's incredible to me that we would do that. And as a chairman of a political party, it's a drag, because what happens is a lot of people that would be really well qualified and would like to serve can't afford to, because they're paid more where they work right now, or because of their business right now, than what the mayor's pay would permit. And so, you either got to be retired or looking at the mayor's job as a stepping stone, which, I sometimes think Mayor Finenzio is really looking at, well, he'll be mayor for a while and then he'll go take some other position with the Democrat Party in the state, at the state level or whatever. I'm sure he has some ambitions. Let me put it this way. I don't think that this is the last election that Mayor Finenzio sees himself in. So unless you have two situations. One, somebody that's taking it because they are using it as an opportunity, as a stepping stone, or you got somebody that's taking it because they're retired. They're going to be retired because the salary is going to be less than what they're making now, and then they can do that job for the for primarily for good being a good citizen, but still obviously it's a good supplement to a retirement check. So anyway, so that's the kind of thing that we'd like to see avoided. We'd like to see the pay for the mayor increased so that it's more attractive to bringing in high quality candidates. Okay. One of the things that at the state level that we've been talking about a lot is tolls. The Democrats really, really want those tolls, and they really, really want those tolls because they really, really want another tax. Malloy wants to tax businesses. He wants to put tolls on the road, and it's not like he doesn't have enough money coming in now. He wants more, and it's not like we don't get taxed. There's a gasoline tax now that's supposed to be used to maintain the roads and the bridges and that kind of thing. And of course, they take that money and put some of it in the general fund rather than spending it on transportation. And then they come along and say, well, we need to put tolls on the roads because we want that money for transportation. If we don't get that money for transportation, we're not going to be able to fix the bridges. But that's, Connecticut's one of the highest tax states around. How are the other states doing it? If we had low taxes and they put tolls on the road, maybe you could go along with that. But when you're already paying really high taxes, like you do in Connecticut, and then they want to throw tolls on the roads in addition to that, my gosh. One of the things I was really pleased to see was that our state rep, our State Senator Famika is against the tolls on the roads, and so is our state rep Andre Bumgardner against the tolls on the road. So I was glad to see those guys stand up and say no. Let's hope enough other people do say no as well, that the governor will have to look for another place to get funding for his transportation ideas. But tolls on the roads, they never go away and they always go up. We got rid of them when we had a major accident in Connecticut some years ago, and that was amazing that we got rid of it. But people got so tired of it that they just revolted, especially with the deaths of these people back at that time. But now they think, well, we got Easy Pass, so that means you can, an Easy Pass, every time I go through Easy Pass, you have to slow down. It's not like you drive through there at 65 miles an hour. So if you have to slow down for Easy Pass, do you think that's going to back up traffic when there's heavy traffic? I'd be shocked if it didn't. So again, it's, oh my gosh, can we avoid that one? But who knows? Let's see, another one that some of our liberal friends are pushing is the suicide thing. There's a bill in the legislature now for, they have some fancy name for it. I can't find my little article on it, but it's a deal where basically you have permitting doctor-assisted suicide. Here the doctors take a Hippocratic oath to say that they'll do everything they can to maintain life and do no harm. And then they turn around, the state wants to say, some of these people want to say, well, it's okay if the doctor assists somebody in killing themselves. The implications of that are just really gross. I'm sure that some people on first thinking of it will say, gee, if the guy's really sick and he's got cancer and he's in pain and it's just really, really awful, and he's going to die anyway, why can't we just, open up the valve and let enough morphine in there to kill him? But the real danger there is one, there's enough painkillers out there now that you don't have to, nobody's going to die in excruciating pain. It's a rare case if something like that happens because the painkillers are pretty big right now, and are pretty powerful, I should say. And but the other thought about this assisted suicide is that, you know, here you got old granny who's living in her house by herself, and she has to have a caretaker come in, and the family's paying for the caretaker, and the family would like to, sell the house so that the children can get the benefits of that money. And old granny, looks like she isn't looking that good, but she's still getting along. Well, families could put pressure on people when they start having problems to say, well, it would be so much better for all of us if you just did your, doctor-assisted suicide. And you can have things like that. What happens is you got, you build up abortion at one end of life, and you have euthanasia, which this is, at the other end of life. Pretty soon, life isn't that valuable. And, where do you draw the line? If you can kill people before they're born, and if you can kill them before they die of some kind of old age, then, what's to prevent you from killing them for other reasons? So it's a real bad idea. I mean, respect for human life has to be, like the Declaration of Independence says, we have the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Well, life is probably was put first because it is number one, and the assisted suicide is definitely going in a direction that's going to lead to evil. Really is. So let's hope that they put that one to bed. I've seen some letters to the editor about it where, this one woman says, well, why shouldn't I have the right to do what I want to do? And, well, again, it's physician-assisted suicide. And if she wants to go shoot herself, I guess she can. It's against the law, but but having a state law that has physician-assisted suicide is not what we really want in Connecticut. Go to Oregon if you want that. Okay, let's see. We talked a bit about the nuclear treaty. Let's see how much time we got. We got a few minutes here. Well, one of the things, on a different note, one of the things I'd like to talk to you, just give you a heads up on. I was looking in the Wall Street Journal today, and I was kind of surprised to see that there's an article about cable TV and TV programming in general. And the bottom line of this article is saying that within about a year, there's going to be, within a year, not a year from now, within a year, we're going to see some major evolution in TV programming where a lot of people won't be getting cable TV anymore. They're going to go and they'll be getting their TV on the internet. Some people do now, but the services that they're coming in with in the very near future are really something. You got Apple coming in with a service which would be live broadcast shows plus on demand. It would be like $25 to $35 a month. It would have about 25 channels on it, which would include ABC, CBS, and Fox, amongst others. You got Sony coming in with one that's $50 to $70 monthly. The content up to 85 broadcast and cable channels like MTV. Cloud-based DVR, regional sports channels. It does require PlayStation console for now. No ABC or ESPN yet. There's another one called Sling. That's $20 a month. It's about 20 cable channels. It has ESPN, AMC, and HGTV, live sports, and options to pay more for additional channels. On the Sling one, you can't record the shows, no broadcast channels in basic package. But you got a lot of these things coming in. The article goes on to say The media industry is racing towards an internet TV future at a breathtaking pace, but the swift changes highlighted by efforts from Apple, Dish, and others are giving consumers an array of confusing options and forcing entertainment giants to confront some sober realities. Sober realities is that some of this has already happened. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you, but in the span of a few months, tectonic shifts are remaking a television remaking a television landscape it took decades to sculpt, opening up a range of other possibilities for cord cutters who don't want traditional pay TV. Apple is working on an internet TV service with some 25 channels, which is expected to be priced between $25 and $35 a month, according to people familiar with the plans. It will join Dish Network Corporation and Sony Corp, which are pitching their own online TV bundles. A host of TV companies, including HBO, NBC Universal, Nickelodeon's Noggin, N-O-G-G-I-N, and CBS are in the matrix with standalone streaming offerings. Evidence is mounted over the past couple of years that something fundamental is changing. In 2013, industry's base of subscribers contracted for the first time. This is the cable industries. Last year, pay TV prescriptions fell by, pay TV subscriptions like MetroCast for us, fell by 129,000 industry-wide, according to an agency. Even as the analyst said, new household formations surged, typically a good sign for the industry in years past. And besides cutting the cord, more consumers started shaving it, downgrading to cheaper packages that operators began to offer. Comcast, for instance, offers an Internet Plus package of HBO, fast broadband, and local channels for $40 a month. And AT&T has been peddling a similar $49 a month bundle that also includes Amazon Incorporated's Prime, free shipping, and streaming video service for a year. So it's kind of interesting. The TV world of TV is really changing. I mean, I've known some people. Some relatives of mine did not get cable TV. Instead, they had an internet connection, and they mostly used Netflix. But now the trend is switching in a direction where a lot of the TV is going to be coming right over the internet, and you won't be getting it through cable, like you do now. So a lot of these things are going to change. So it'll be interesting to see who, that's, of course, right now, you probably pay the cable company somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe $80 a month for just cable TV, maybe more. And you also probably pay the cable company, $50 or $60 for internet. And I don't know if everybody, let's say people went over to Apple TV, they wouldn't be paying that $90 for the TV, for the cable TV. So that would have a huge impact on, let's say, somebody like this network right here, MetroCast. So we'll have to see how that all works out. But things are changing in the TV world. Okay, let's see. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about Clinton's email thing. There's been so much going on about Hillary Clinton's email that probably don't need me to add to it. But I mean, it's egregious in the max. I mean the fact that she had her own email server and didn't turn over her official government correspondence even after 2 years after she left the State Department, and didn't really do it at all until she got some pressure from some congressional investigations. It's just incredible what Hillary's capable of. I mean, I guess she doesn't think the rules apply to her. And it's kind of interesting that news conference that she had about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you watched it or not. You may have seen some of the reruns on it, little clips of it. But boy, did she look bad. She didn't look like a happy camper, certainly. She didn't look like she was ready to run for office. She looked like somebody that was ready to, call it quits. It wouldn't surprise me terribly if Hillary did not run. I mean, I wouldn't have, before this all happened, I mean, it sounded like for sure Hillary's going to run and she's going to have a shoe-in and she'll be our next president. I'm not even sure the Democrats are going to run Hillary now because she looks like a really bad candidate. I mean, she's got all this business where she took in foreign money, where she was Secretary of State for the Clinton Foundation, which is a huge conflict of interest, being Secretary of State. Then she has this email scandal, which tends to keep getting worse. And then you have these other investigations that are going on that probably will, implicate her in some other scandals. Plus, it doesn't look like she's got the zip to run anymore. She looks like she's worn out. I don't know. I mean, if I was a Democrat, I'd hate to be putting all my eggs in the Hillary Clinton basket because, one, I'm not sure if she's going to really, if she has the energy and the chutzpah and the wherewithal to be a good candidate and run for president. I think what Hillary's kind of thought is that she'd just wake up one day and she'd be president. She wouldn't have to go through all this nasty campaigning and that kind of thing. And having people look into my record and all that. That's not what Hillary was after. So and then you have, if you're a Democrat, if you lose Hillary, then who do you have? Well, Joe Biden is definitely a non-starter. I mean, Mr. Gaff. And then you have, let's see, our senator in Massachusetts, Warren. She's the one that they call Pocahontas because she said she was had some Indian, she could trace her roots back to Native Americans, which turned out to be a lie. And not only that, but she's a super duper liberal, which means that she's even more of a, on the communist side of things than Barack Obama. I'm not saying she's a communist, but she's so far left that you can only be, if you go any further left than Warren, you're probably a communist. So she's a loser for the Democrats. It'd be, I would think most of our Republican candidates could beat her. And then beyond that, you got O'Malley, who's the ex-governor of Maryland, who couldn't even win a Senate seat in Maryland, the Republican one, and he wants to run for president. But I mean, if you can't even win your own state in local elections, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to run for president. So we'll have to see what happens with Mark O'Malley. The only other one that the one that I kind of like is the ex-senator from Virginia, Jack Webb. Webb is a fairly decent guy. He's an ex-Marine. He's his sons, I think, are in the Marine Corps, and he was a Secretary of Navy under Ronald Reagan. He seems like a pretty solid guy, but because he's a sort of a middle-of-the-road Democrat, the arch liberals aren't going to like him, so his chances of winning a Democrat nomination are probably pretty low. And I guess the other side of it is that he's not a party player in the sense that he'll sacrifice his principles for some political thing that the party wants, like maybe they want to have euthanasia. Well, Jack Webb wouldn't be for that most likely, or whatever whatever the thing is. So he's pretty much his own man. So he doesn't have a very good shot, in the Democrat Party. But Jack Webb would be a good, if the Democrats pick Jack Webb as their candidate, I think they would do a whole lot better than with Warren or Hillary Clinton or Mark O'Malley or Joe Biden. So anyway, we'll see. Okay, well, we got just a little bit of time left. I wanted to go into some of these articles about the Iran nuclear deal, But we probably already covered that pretty well, and you probably heard a lot in the regular news about it. The thing about it is unless you, if you watch ABC or CBS, well, ABC, CBS, or NBC, you don't really get very good news there, and they make fun of people like Netanyahu, who is, a lot of people call the Churchill of our generation. The Churchill, of course, stood up to, was back there in the 30s crying out that we got to stop Germany, and the British picked Chamberlain, who was an arch liberal, a socialist, and he came back and saying, that Hitler gave him a deal. He said, we'll have peace in our time. And of course, the next day Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia. So it's you have that kind of a deal. But anyway, so what I would encourage you is to watch other news besides that. Yeah, okay, I think we can probably wrap it up right now. We don't have enough time to get anything else. And it looks like we're going gray anyway. So thank you and good night.